welcome to the Red Wagon Estate Planning and Elder Law Show, hosted by me, yours truly, Jeffrey Bellomo, where we discuss all things estate planning and elder law, and well, hey, anything else we want to talk about. Now, this podcast is going to be one of my favorites for sure. One of my best friends, Jim Kabrhel, is on the line with us today, and he will be on our show today. I cannot wait to walk down memory lane with him, talk about meeting at Juniata College and what he's up to now as a college professor of chemistry in Wisconsin. So I'm really looking forward to this podcast. But before we get there, I have to do the disclaimer. Remember, please do not take what you learn from this radio show or any other show for that matter to constitute legal advice. If you are looking for legal advice, please call an attorney licensed in the state that you reside in who practices in the area of law that you are looking for advice in. And after you have met with them about your specific factual situation, can they provide you legal advice pertaining to a specific situation. This show and any other show for that matter should be for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes. Now, today we won't be talking legal technicals, so that shouldn't be an issue, but I just still like to do the normal disclaimer. At Bellomo and Associates, we offer free educational workshops in the areas of estate planning, crisis Medicaid planning, life care planning, special needs planning, and administration after the loss of a loved one. If you are looking for education in any of those areas, please give us a call at 717-845-5390 or check us out on the web at www.belomoassociates.com. We offer free weekly workshops in York and Lancaster and also offer them via a webinar. So we offer all kinds of opportunities to get educated in those areas. All right. This has been a long time coming. We've been planning this podcast for a while. So Jim, how you doing, man?
Great. It's nice to be back after the holiday, and it's nice seeing you again. I don't get to see you enough.
I know. I agree, man. So just to get the listeners up to speed, Jim is one of my absolute best friends in life. Jim and I met at Juniata College just a couple years ago, of course, and we were college roommates and have stayed in touch and get together as often as we can, which isn't enough with him living in Wisconsin. But I've been looking forward to this and just touching base. So, one question that I've always wondered, Jim, is how did you end up at Juniata? From where you lived, and how did you end up there?
Well, I was lucky in that there were a couple of friends from band who were in the class ahead of me that went to Juniata. I think there were 4 of them.
Oh wow!
And I had narrowed my list down to I think Juniata and Lebanon Valley, which were both liberal arts schools in Pennsylvania. And my whole family expected me to go to East Stroudsburg where I grew up. Like they expected me to stay home, I think, because I was a homebody. I wasn't dynamic. I'm kind of like the opposite of you, I think, like in a lot of ways, at least I used to be. And so I wanted to go to a place that had, some familiarity and the fact that not only were those people there, but one of the people who graduated with me was also in band, ended up going to Juniata College too. She played field hockey, I think, for a year. And she was the first person I think I saw there when I got there. It also helped that I got a good scholarship. So the combination of those two things are why I went to Juniata, and I mean, best possible choice I could have made for so many different reasons, you being one of them. Having a great group of friends, but also getting the professors that I needed to help me along the way, and all sorts of other things. Like, it really ultimately was the absolute right choice to go to Juniata.
And how far was Juniata from East Stroudsburg? Is that?
At the time, 3 hours, 15 minutes, 3.5 hours, something like that. You drive halfway across the strait to Penn State, and then you go south. So that was the usual route that we would take.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
Yeah.
And anything specific about Juniata that was perfect for you? I mean, I know there's a lot, but I was just curious if there was a fit there specifically.
It was a small town, which helped me a little bit, and it was a small campus. It was really a tight-knit campus and community. Yeah. I remember when my brother was looking at school, he looked at Penn State, and that was 4 or 5 years before I was looking at college, and it just was so overwhelming.
Yeah.
I was scared of big cities. I was scared of big places, and I knew I would end up at a small school. I think my parents understood that also, and it just when we toured there and when we talked to the people. I mean, you know this. It's just the people that you talk to are always going to be that first thing that gets you hooked,
Yeah.
and when you've got the right staff to talk to, immediately you're like, okay, this is the place for me, and it's whether it's a school or a business or anything else, like it's immediately the people that you hook onto. And I think that sold it for me.
Yeah.
Also, Lebanon Valley, if you ever go to Lebanon Valley, they have a train running right through campus. I remember when we went on our tour. If you ever go there, and it's so loud,
Oh,
right, going
wow.
right through campus. Maybe they fixed it in the last 25 years.
Yeah, it's been a
But
few
yeah,
years.
that was also a problem. I'm like, I don't want to go be in a dorm with right next to a train. That's weird. So
Yeah.
Juniata was quiet and comfortable and safe, and it was a good choice.
Yeah, I went to Lebanon Valley for a camp in high school, I think it was, and I don't remember that specifically, but I don't even know that I actually went to visit there for college, although that was the types of colleges that I was looking at as well. So, and then at Juniata, they have programs of emphasis, not
Yes.
necessarily majors and minors, but what was your program of emphasis?
Oh, it was straight chemistry the whole
Okay.
way. I mean, right from high school, I knew I had a great chemistry teacher, and I think I just glued to that.
Oh,
And
wow.
so for anyone who knows chemistry, usually you take general chemistry, organic chemistry, and you get your more advanced stuff. At Juniata at the time, it was organic chemistry first, and I found I liked it. And I had a professor, Dave Reingold, who I'm still in communication with regularly.
Oh, that's cool.
He was my professor, and he kind of sealed the deal for chemistry and organic chemistry in particular when I got there. It's all about having the right instructors when you're in college. If you even if you come in not knowing at all what you want to do, inevitably you're going to be taking that class, that course. You got, oh man, that professor's awesome. Maybe I should, take more of their courses, and you end up getting a major or program of emphasis. So I didn't get into the esoteric stuff like combining sociology and physics and geology and stuff like that, making something truly unique. It was straight chemistry the whole way.
You mean like political communication for me?
Well, yeah, sure. Honestly, it's interesting when you have ambitions to become, say, a doctor or a pharmacist or one of those major professions. You can really take a variety of different classes and different majors. You could be biology, and still become a lawyer.
Right. Right.
So honestly, you take the classes you want to take, and Juniata allows you to take more of the classes that you want to take. But you made it your own. Not surprisingly, you made it your own.
Yeah, right. And then after Juniata, you moved on and went into your program. So where'd you go there?
I again, it was about people.
All right.
I met at a conference where I was presenting summer after junior year. I met a professor at Minnesota who came over, and I think he knew Dave Reingold. Somehow they knew each other a little bit. And I'm like, oh, I want to work for this guy. I want him to be
wow.
my advisor. And it just so happens that a classmate, not a classmate, a friend from Juniata, her family lived in Minneapolis. So again, someone I knew. Beth, formerly Burns, now Williams, Bethany
Oh,
Williams,
yeah.
again, still in contact with her. So it made it easy to go out there. And the other thing, again, familiarity. My brother's best friend's in-laws also lived out there. So I actually lived with them for a couple of months as I found an apartment. So I
No
had
kidding.
people I had people to house me and who I knew. And then Minneapolis, St. Paul, Twin Cities does not feel like Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, where it's like oppressively tall buildings.
Okay.
It's a lot more urban sprawl suburbs spread out, and lakes, 10,000 lakes.
Yeah.
It was really a comfortable place to go immediately. Like as soon as I went out there, like I want to go here. And again, made the right choice for a lot of reasons, as we will get to. I made the
Yeah.
right choice to go out there too.
And did you? I mean, were there other places in contention, or was that pretty much hands down it once you went there?
No, I was considering places closer. I went to Syracuse and Buffalo, so New York would have been closer. And the other place that I went to, I toured was Oregon.
Oh, wow.
That would have been crazy to go out to Oregon. It's a beautiful place to go. If you ever want to go to a beautiful place, go to Eugene, Oregon. Lots of things to do there. But it was too far, and it didn't feel exactly right. Just like Juniata, Minnesota felt right, and even though it was a lot further away than I had ever been in my life for a long period, it felt like the right place.
Yeah, and I do remember our senior year, like when you guys were traveling, you and Dale kind of looking at places and doing your thing. I don't know that I realized how much like Minnesota was a perfect fit for you until you went there, and then
Yeah.
we went and kind of visited, and I was like, holy cow, like this was a no brainer. But I don't know if at the time I realized the connections and everything at that time.
Yeah, I don't think I realized the perfect fit because when you're in graduate school for the sciences, it's less about the place you go to and who you work for. And you could ask Dale about this. Dale had a rough time at at Madison, Wisconsin Madison, because he had an advisor that worked his students really hard, and mine was more forgiving and flexible. I mean, I will tell you, I got way too many chances. There are a lot of advisors, in graduate school who would have just told me to get a master's and leave because I was just struggling so much. But mine, bless him, he gave me a lot of extra chances and let me work it out, and I got there in the end. And Tom Hoy, one of my favorite people, because he was willing to give me extra chances to get my stuff together in graduate school and be able to be successful. That's we always we our lives depend on the people that we can make relationships with.
Yeah.
This better than most people, both in our personal lives and our professional lives. And sometimes you just get lucky. The feel of it inside can get you to the right place. And working hard, fighting through the anxiety, the stress, the struggles, and getting to the end. It can be tough, but it's worthwhile.
So you're doing a lot of research and work with a particular like advisor. That's how the programs work.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can pick an advisor. Sometimes you have co-advisors, but they have research programs and they have research topics that they want you to do. Oftentimes you will work on what they want you to work on. There are some that are like, okay, come up with your own project, but oftentimes it's okay. This is what our research group does. You can pick some of the topics that we have. I picked one. Maybe I picked the wrong one because it was such a struggle. But that's usually the way it goes, whether it's chemistry, biology, any of the hard sciences like that. You work on the projects that your advisor is an expert in.
Got you. Got you. Wow. Cool. And for my listeners, I haven't really shared much about my college experience, but I roomed with three scientists. So I had Jim, who ended up going on to the University of Minnesota and getting a Ph.D. in chemistry, and then Dale, University of Wisconsin, and getting a master's in, I think, chemistry as well, right, Jim?
Yep, chemistry. Yep.
Yep. And then Dan was also one of my high school friends who ended up getting into science, and I think biology was more of Dan's thing, if I recall.
He was chemistry, but he sort of mixed it a little bit at the end.
Okay.
That I think it was sort of like biochemistry. It was still mostly chemistry,
Okay.
for the longest time.
Well, you can tell from my kind of language here that clearly the sciences are not my strength. And I tell two sort of funny stories. Our senior year, I was a tour guide, and I remember this pretty well. It was a Saturday morning, I believe, and my roommates were taking their test to be able to graduate, which I did not realize was a requirement at Juniata, that you have to pass this test. Even though you have A's in all of your classes, you have to pass this test to make sure that you have a certain proficiency, I guess. And I'm walking down the hallway giving a tour, and they're all in there taking this very important exam. And I'm talking about how smart my college roommates are and how amazing they are. And I'm like, heck, they take quantum mechanics. I can't even spell quantum mechanics. I don't think anything of it. I finish the tour. I go back to my room. My roommates finish their exam. They come back to the room and they're all laughing because here they are taking this exam and their roommates walking down the hallway and they could hear everything. And they're making fun of me saying, quantum mechanics, I can't even spell quantum mechanics. So it was one of my funny memories. I don't know if you have any recollection of that one, Jim, or...
No, I don't specifically, because frankly, at that time we were taking so many tests that it was hard to keep them all straight.
Yeah.
But it does really sound like something you would say.
Oh, 100%.
Because you underestimate your own abilities, and we all have our own focus in life, and yours is law, and I would say law and education now.
Yeah.
So you were the. I mean, I did not work nearly as hard as you. I coasted on my own laurels for so long, even into a senior year in college, and I'm looking at you like, if I worked that hard, how much better would I be? And then I was like, I don't want to work that hard. I want to work as hard as Jeff does.
I know.
Maybe to my detriment. Eventually, I figured out, I should probably work as hard as you, and I did in graduate school, but I didn't do that in college to my detriment, I think.
That does prove the point, though, of one of the things that I always try to stay, which is you guys are the smartest people that I know. I mean, one of the things that I always would tell people is that I was the dumb, smart person in the room in our group, but meaning naturally I am probably not the most intelligent, but I will certainly work as hard as anybody. There's no question about it, but... I know
We've had this same discussion many times, and I disagree with you every time.
I know.
Intelligence comes in a lot of different ways, and sometimes it's about science, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's about people, and we all have our strengths and weaknesses. Yeah, so you embraced your strengths, and we embraced ours, and it has, and I don't think it has anything to do with intelligence. It just has the things that click on our brain are different than the things that click in your brain. But the one thing we all have is in common is we love each other, and we enjoy each other's company, and we like being around people. We like dealing with people, I think, and that's why we got on well together as roommates, I think.
Agreed. So all right, so you're at Minnesota. And you meet a certain somebody. So let's talk about the meeting and how you and Amy met and how it went from there.
Okay, so I'm going to embarrass Amy a little bit in case she ever listens to us, and she probably will. So technically we met, quote unquote, at a housewarming party. One of my lab mates and his partner at the time bought a house in South Minneapolis, and we were both at the party. But before that, by a couple of months, I think, one of Amy's friends knew me and knew my lab mate and came up and was saying hello. And I was introduced to Amy, even though at the time, unfortunately, I forgot. But she's like, he's so cute. I want to go out with him or something like that. She was immediately attracted to me, so she has said. And I don't really remember this so much. But at this housewarming party, of all things, I heard her and her friends talking about Harry Potter, and I had just read the first couple of books, I think, or first 4 books. So it's like, I'm an introvert. I'm naturally an introvert. So going to a party like that is a struggle.
Yeah.
But if I have someone like nice people that I can recognize, nice people, a few people I know sort of, and like talk about it. So I sat down and started talking about Harry Potter, and the rest is history now. And to add flavor to this story, I had at that point worked for a month straight. And when I say a month straight, I mean no days off. In graduate school, you don't work 9 to 5, Monday, Friday. You work as much as you need to work. Oh. So I had worked for 28, 29, 30 straight days, 10 hours a day. This was sort of at the biggest struggle of graduate school. And I was at my end at that point. I was seriously considering just getting my master's and leaving. And then I went to this party. Inexplicably, I went to this party. There's no reason for me at that time to go to a party on a Saturday night. Right. I think I even left right from the lab. And I went there, and all of a sudden I meet these, I have a good time, I get some good food. I meet this very cute, attractive woman who is listening to me and having a conversation. I don't think I ever did this once in my life where I had met someone and I asked them out the same night,
Oh
and I
wow.
did it. I was like, we should go out sometime. She asked her friends and asked them if I was a safe person because she needed a ride home back to her
Oh,
apartment.
right.
And so I gave her a ride home, and I gave her like a CD of some songs that I had recorded, and we went on a date the next Thursday, I think, to the Minneapolis Institute of Art, and then that's basically it. I shot my shot, and that was it.
Oh,
So
and then you got
yeah,
married a few years later.
yes, we did get married a few years later. I mean, so we both got our PhDs within a week of each other.
Oh, I
August
didn't
of
realize
20,
that.
yeah,
Okay.
2006. We defended very close to each other. And then she got a position here in Wisconsin, in Manitowoc. In fact, I'm in her office right now.
Oh,
And then I got a visiting professorship in Washington State at the University of Puget Sound. So the 6 months before our wedding and the 4 or 5 months after our wedding, we weren't together. Amy did most of the wedding planning, thank goodness.
yeah.
And then we finally we were living together after that. I got an adjunct position here in Wisconsin. So we were finally teaching together after all that time.
It was one of the most beautiful weddings. Early January, Two Rivers, Wisconsin. What could have gone wrong, right? Like it was perfect.
Yeah, it was like, right now we're in the mid 20s. It's cloudy, it's gray, it's flurrying. And that day was mid to upper 30s and kind of partially sunny. Like, you don't get days like that in Wisconsin
Oh yeah,
very
your
much.
anniversary's coming up, Jim. Very
Yeah.
soon. Holy
Yeah.
cow! Couple to 3 days, right?
Yeah, a couple days. We got big
Holy.
plans
Oh,
because
dude.
it's a Monday and it's a school night, so we got big plans.
I got you. I got you. I hear that. I loved the Two Rivers. Like I always joked around and called it Twin Lakes.
Twin
I
Lakes.
made a mistake there early on and couldn't get it out of my brain. But
Yeah.
one of the most beautiful areas. I just had so much fun hanging out in such a quaint town, and
Yeah.
it was beautiful. It was absolutely amazing.
I'm really happy here. Like, I never thought I would be. I always loved growing up in Pennsylvania with the hills and the greenery and all of that stuff. But though Wisconsin is very flat, we live right on Lake Michigan, and there are few places better where you have the open water like that and all the wildlife, and you can just walk outside on a summer day and it's not too hot. I'm really happy where we live.
Well, and I think you had told me recently that they don't have it at the same place anymore. But man, when we came out that time and went to the kite
Yeah,
festival, I don't know if I'm saying the right thing, but
yeah, Kite Festival.
man,
Yeah.
that was beautiful. It was so cool right on the lake there. It was gorgeous.
Yeah, in fact, this year was the last year. Unfortunately, they're not doing that anymore. I mean, Two Rivers still has a whole bunch of variety of festivals throughout the year, but that kite festival, I'm going to miss that kite festival. I remember you guys coming out. That was fun.
That was awesome. It was so beautiful seeing all of them, and yeah, that's unfortunate. That was a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
and then ultimately you ended up both being professors, and where are you at now, and what are you doing?
So we each got our jobs at two-year campuses on the eastern shore of Wisconsin, Amy in Manitowoc and me in Sheboygan, and then let's see, 6 years ago, the University of Wisconsin system merged campuses together. So both our small campuses are now part of UW Green Bay, which is the four-year regional comprehensive close by, and we're lucky where we are. Higher education is going through some issues with demographic shifts and lower enrollment. I know that the Pennsylvania system, the state system, is doing a lot of merging and adjusting. I've been keeping up on that. The Penn State system also. So for those of you that are in Pennsylvania, the Penn State system, where they have the satellite campuses, the smaller campuses around the state, Wisconsin used to be very much like that. But because of budget cuts and enrollment drops and things, there have been a lot of adjustments. But Green Bay is doing pretty well right now. We've made some adjustments, gone in some different directions. We've got a wide variety of students. We're all commuter campuses. We've got older students, younger students, high school students. So we cater to a lot of different people with a lot of different programs, and I think that suits Amy and I in terms of our teaching styles. We don't care who we teach. We just wanna teach interested and interesting people, and that's what we get.
And are you teaching all chemistry, Jim?
Yeah, it's still all
Okay.
chemistry. It used to be just what would be the first 2 years of majors chemistry, which is general chemistry and organic. But Green Bay has a pretty big environmental and sustainability focus. So Amy and I created a sustainability class that's still chemistry flavored. And also scientific literacy. That was a course I helped a colleague create. Our new Gen Ed model has both sustainability and information literacy. So I get to teach those classes too. So it's much more than just teaching, the chemistry concepts. It's teaching about sustainability, environmental, and teaching students how to find information. That's what my podcast is about too. So Amy has taught some math also because she's a really big math person. So we kind of do what we're asked.
Okay.
If they need this, they need that. First year seminar, general education class, we sort of go where we're needed, and we enjoy it too.
Is there a class that when you get it on your schedule, you're like the most excited about? Like,
Man, that's tough because I don't want to single out any class.
well, that's
I
true.
mean,
And you don't have to.
no, my graduate school focus was organic chemistry,
Okay.
and I think that's still my favorite class to teach. I've put a
Okay.
lot of effort and adaptations into that class, so I still think I like that one the best. But because sustainability chemistry is something that Amy and I created, it's ours. We have ownership of it. That's also a fun one to teach. I taught 2 sections of that in the fall, and that was a lot of fun.
Oh, wow. And do you teach through the summer or no?
So Amy and I teach what's called a boot camp,
Okay.
which is organic chemistry, the entire year of organic chemistry in 2 weeks. And I'm sure, yeah, like your face, like a lot of people would view that as a nightmare, and it can be. It's 10 hours a day for 2 weeks, and it's challenging, but we've been doing it since 2009, and we have a lot of fun doing it, and we have it down like this. So it's not a huge effort anymore.
Right.
To be honest, we've got great equipment here. We've got great students. Most of the students who come up are from Madison because they don't have enough space in their labs at Wisconsin-Madison to teach
Okay.
organic chemistry. So we get the leftovers, and the
Now, are
students
you
have
still
fun.
doing research as well, or no?
Yeah,
Okay.
I for a while I wasn't, but I started a more bench research program that I can do during the semesters with students. That's been a lot of fun too. Organic chemistry and pseudoscience and misinformation, lots of things. Like another hour talking about all of this stuff if you had the time. So
Yeah.
if people want to hear about that stuff, they can listen to my podcast because I talk about that stuff there.
Yeah, and actually, that was one of the questions I was going to ask is what is your podcast? And if my listeners want to find more out about what you do, and where would they go?
Well, I have to first thank you for this because you sort of led the way. Once I had been thinking about this for years, and once you started yours and I was listening to yours, I'm like, I can do that. Like this is the kind of style that I want to do. So thank you for that. It's called Baloney Detection with Dr. K. I started it this past April, and it because I've been teaching about pseudoscience and misinformation and products and supplements and things to my students for years, I thought this would be another platform to reach out to other people. So my students hear this all the time. My colleagues do. What about the general public? And so I talk about things like words like organic. What does organic mean? Chemical free. What kind of products are out there? How are things being marketed on social media? That's a big one these days. And I get to talk to colleagues, and I get to talk about random stuff just like you do. You're like, sometimes it's beneficial to talk about you and your career pathway and your journey. And so I get to talk about stuff because it's my podcast, and I can do what I want.
I love it. And is there a way to find it, or is it just look up the word baloney?
Yeah,
Science?
so I have it on Acast and Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So just do a search for Baloney Detection with Dr. K. I also have an Instagram, Baloney Detection Podcast. that I am trying to get up and running, and I have a blog that's coming, also going to be associated with the podcast. So it's through UW Green Bay Phoenix Studios as of right now. So you look up any of those things, or you could just look up my name, and it'll come up on a Google search if you're interested in all sorts of scientific fun.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Baloney Detection with Dr. K. I love it. That is so cool, man. That is great. As I fully expected, you and I could sit here for 4 days and do a wonderful long podcast. But for the sake of the size of the show and the length of the show, I'm going to have to end the podcast today. But I'm definitely going to have Jim back. It would be so much fun to do another one and continue on in the journey. And I'm definitely a fan, and I love the Baloney Detection with Dr. K. I'm going to be looking that up and listening to your podcasts.
Awesome.
I only have listened to one, so I'm going to continue on and learn more. So much fun. So thank you to my listeners for being here today and for spending a little bit of time learning about kind of my past, and definitely one of my dearest friends in the world, and just incredible human being, one of the nicest, most patient people I've ever met in my life. So thank you to my listeners of the Red Wagon Estate Planning and Elder Law Show. I am Jeff Bellomo, and until next time, we'll see you real soon.